This is the 3-minute audio introduction for the extended audio description of the 13-minute documentary film Precarity U. Precarity U is part of an awareness campaign shining light on the working conditions of casual employees at the University of Toronto. When text appears on screen, it will be read out. This film features the accounts of 6 workers presented as clips from indoor seated one-on-one interviews where the interviewer is not seen or heard. Interspersed with the interview footage are clips of the interviewees, primarily outdoors on the main downtown campus of the University of Toronto, a mix of historic stone buildings and newer architecture. It is daytime and late fall. The trees have shed most of their leaves. The following is a brief description of the iconic buildings captured in the footage. The large circular Convocation Hall. Cumberland House built in pale yellow brick. The large ornate Beaux Arts style Koffler Student Services Centre, which houses the U of T bookstore. A 43.6 meter tall tower in a Gothic Revival style known as Soldier's Tower. The sports center, including the 5,000-seat Varsity Stadium and air-supported white dome over the entire sports field. The Alumni Gates, poured concrete pillars bearing the university's name and crests, which frame the entrance to King's College Road, the cobblestone access road to the center of the campus. The Pharmacy Building, a newer 12-floor building which resembles a gray glass cube on top of a smaller clear glass one, with the outside edges seemingly supported by stilts. The main building of the University College, built in 1856 in a Romanesque Revival style. 3 stories of gray masonry with tall, thin arched windows in groups of 3. The Medical Sciences Building, a boxy gray structure adorned with a sculpted concrete exterior detail of repeated patterns which wrap horizontally around the building in 1.5 meter tall ribbons. Beaux Arts Library, a towering structure and prime example of brutalist architecture, with extensive triangular geometric patterns. And finally, the Terrence Donnelly Centre, a 12-story transparent box behind a landscaped plaza. In the film, the 4-story Steelworkers Hall is also depicted. It is a plain brown brick building with long, narrow vertical windows. The interior of Steelworkers Hall is also mostly brick. This is the background for several of the interviews. The film ends with a montage and quote set to music. This will be read out and post-described after the music ends. The film begins with a daytime montage featuring the 6 interviewees individually walking by or standing in front of iconic locations on campus. One person holds an umbrella. Another in a yellow puffer vest walks onto campus with the CN Tower in the distance behind him. A few wear blue scarves with yellow writing wrapped around their necks.
Working at U of T as a casual, I sometimes feel excluded.
By no means is this just something I do on the side. This is the job.
Sometimes working as a casual at U of T can feel like I'm in an abusive relationship.
I would describe a little bit confusing and sometimes not as straightforward as it could be.
It can be really hard on your mental health. It can really make you feel anxious and stressed and depressed.
They want a pool of cheap labor, it seems. Is that the kind of University of Toronto that people know publicly? I don't think so. And this is one of the dirty secrets of this university.
In the sky above the Alumni Gates, a title appears in capital blue letters, Precarity U. Caption, Nick Marchese, President, USW Local 1998 Casual Unit. Nick is a white man in his 50s with short brown hair. He wears a patterned reddish-brown button-up shirt.
We do important work. We believe much needed work, ongoing work, and yet we're treated as workers that have very little connection to the institution.
Text, myth number 1. All casual employees at U of T are students. Gabrielle, graduate student, member USW 1998 Casual Unit Negotiating Committee. Gabrielle is a woman who is white with mixed Latinx heritage. She is in her 20s with curly brown shoulder-length hair. She wears a coral red casual knit shirt.
I found that there's often an assumption that it's exclusively students from the university who fill casual positions, but the reality is that's not always the case. We can be recent alums, we can be folks who have been there for an exceptionally long time and who have maybe never attended U of T at all.
Myth 2, casual employees don't need a real income. Duncan, steward, USW Local 1998 Casual Unit, Monk School of Global Affairs. Duncan is a white man in his 30s with short red hair and a beard. He wears wire-frame glasses and a blue sweater.
So I was a casual worker, but that doesn't mean that I didn't need the money or it was just another job to kind of earn a little bit of extra income on the side. It was my full-time primary source of income for me to pay rent, for me to afford food, for me to pay off student loans.
Myth 3, casual employees don't do essential or important work. Keon, member USW Local 1998 Casual Unit. Keon is a 40-year-old black man with short black hair and a trimmed beard. He wears a beige cable knit sweater.
I would ask anyone who shares that opinion to speak to the hundreds of students that I correspond with on a regular basis to try to resolve their issues and help them get through their problems.
Many casual employees feel insecure in their roles and describe them as precarious. Nick.
I've worked here for 24 years, and every September and sometimes every January, I have to be rehired. I have to sign another contract and another contract and another contract. And if they ever decide not to hire me, I have no recourse. Even though I'm one of the most experienced match officials they have at this university, I am not given any kind of preference for hiring the next semester, the next year. So every September, I'm wondering if I'm going to be hired again.
Keon.
There's always that sense of, will I have a job, kind of a feeling, and that's unsettling. At the end of the day, it's very prominent. It's probably the first or second paragraph in the contract. It's like, we can terminate you at any time, and that's discouraging.
Rebecca, steward, Casual Unit, USW Local 1998, Faculty of Medicine. Rebecca is a woman of color of multiple ethnicities in her 40s with brown coily hair pulled back into a bun. She wears a blue blazer over a blue scoop neck top.
There is definitely a fear of not getting asked back. There are often emails that go out at 11 p.m. and you're asked to be the first person to respond in order to get the work. So there's this kind of low level of stress around every time a work offer comes in, because that is the moment that your potential not getting hired back begins.
Gabrielle.
I have a position right now, for example, where I'm not guaranteed any hours, and so I haven't received any in a very long time, and that's not because I have done anything wrong or I'm being disciplined. It's just because the central researcher doesn't necessarily have the capacity to make those hours come through, and so I have no payment at all at the moment. And that's something that isn't uncommon to experience as a casual member.
Simon, former student and Casual Unit member. Simon is a white man in his 20s with short brown hair. He wears a green long-sleeve polo shirt.
As a lifeguard, we're supposed to receive 24 hours notice before shift cancellations, and that wasn't happening. And that's when I decided to approach the union. It's a big hassle when you show up to work and your shift is canceled, but you've arrived anyways.
Casual Unit members at U of T are not entitled to receive any benefits or paid sick days.
Here at the University of Toronto, there are people that are defined as casual and there are people that are defined as staff appointed. It's an archaic term, but it's really about people who are continuous employees. Sitting sometimes right next to each other, one person gets up to 15 weeks of sick days paid, and the other person gets 0, not 1 paid sick day.
Rebecca.
What is happening is people are actually going to work sick. We are a group of precarious workers. We are also in the standardized patient program sort of set up to live the idea that the show must go on. And there are a lot of people who can't afford not to go into work.
I went back to school to complete my degree at 40 years old. As a 40-year-old, I think that you just have different expectations of employment. And I think you also have different needs in terms of not being able to rely on perhaps your parents' benefits if you don't have benefits yourself. I do have diabetes and I'm taking medication on a daily basis, and it's expensive. And since I've finished school, that's become an out-of-pocket expense.
There was about a year and a half where I was not at all in classes and was just working full-time in a variety of casual roles. And I recall just thinking, you know, if anything happens to me medical-wise, I don't really have the funds to take care of myself. And so how do you maintain a sense of balance and positive mental health when you are a casual and you know that the $140 per hour to see a psychotherapist, for example, would be completely out of pocket when you're making close to minimum wage? It just really wasn't sustainable.
There is no set pay scale for USW 1998 casual unit members at U of T.
In terms of wages for casual employees, it's like the Wild West out there. In our contract, the employer is required to pay $15 minimum per hour, but then can choose to pay anyone any rate there and above. And they do so.
Duncan.
I know casual workers who I've worked alongside and I've spoken to are doing the same job that other people in permanent positions are doing, but get paid way less.
I've had multiple experiences of being in the exact same role, but 1 year after having worked previously, and being paid as much as $5 less per hour, which really is just nonsensical considering the fact that it's the exact same job.
My pay as a student employee in comparison to being a casual contract employee, my pay didn't change, though the work that I did change.
Simon.
The university doesn't compensate for training of their lifeguards, and so I had to pay out of pocket to obtain my certifications, and I didn't think that the wage was competitive enough.
The university has really truly avoided putting any type of proper pay grid inside the collective agreement for the casual unit. This has resulted in my department in particular, almost no pay increase since 2003. There are also many instances of pay being decreased, and because there is nothing actually written in an agreement, it is really difficult to file a grievance or to have any kind of standing in terms of bargaining as a union, and we really need that to change.
There is supposed to be a pathway that allows casual employees to become permanent employees. Supposed to be.
After they've reached a year and a half in the same position, or 2 years if they've worked a few hours per week, they have the right to become staff appointed status. The employer knows this, and sometimes it's unbelievable, but this is true. The University of Toronto employer, through its supervisors, managers, and human resources officers, will cut you off.
Right when I hit that 18-month mark, my contract ended and they didn't renew it. I think just because they didn't want to convert me to that full-time permanent position. And it's really frustrating and stressful and disheartening that happened, because I really wanted to be a permanent member of this community and continue working here.
There are often these hallway conversations where folks say, oh, if you just work really hard and wow, you've really impressed us, we're gonna look for something for you for the future. So you just stay put and maybe I'll introduce you to my colleague. They also have a short-term opportunity for you to work in. And one day when we're hiring, we're gonna hire you. And so there's this constant sort of sense that you can't leave the university because you're indebted to your network, and that network is never able to pull through, or they don't pull through, and so you work contract after contract after contract chasing after a staff appointed role that might just never materialize for you.
One of the really frustrating things for me working as a casual worker was not being able to apply for internal job postings. So one of the reasons people would accept and continue working in a casual job at the University of Toronto is they really want to stay here. They love this community and they want to build a career here. But not being able to apply to internal job postings as a casual worker makes that really hard to do. You have to really get lucky or build connections internally and get like a job that's not posted, which isn't fair for the people who've been working here, sometimes for years, who really want to build a career here, who want to stay here, want to continue contributing to this community, to not have the opportunity to apply for these other jobs.
If I've already been working in an office for over a year, why am I not able to apply for internal positions? Why am I not considered to be internal? I work for your company. I know your internal systems. I already use your systems in my day in, day out job. So to consider me or to other me as not internal, I think is unfair and something that perhaps needs to be addressed.
So I would be happier and healthier as a casual worker at U of T if the wider U of T community saw how equal we are to their staff appointed members and how the work we do complements and often can overlap with the work of those members.
The employer has to start respecting the people that are doing this work, that are defined as casual, regardless of that definition. They need to start respecting the work that these people do, my members, myself, and that's the first thing. And if we start from that basis, a lot of other things can be improved upon.
You know what I really want? I would love for my work experience at the university to match what my parents think it is. You know, it's like the university is known as this wonderful top employer, you know, supposed to be a great job, but it's not. And I think it's possible. I would really like a change to happen so I can say, yes, it's a great job. I really love it there.
I was fortunate that the Union for Casual Workers was there for me, and I hope that students in the future use the union as a vessel for their voices to be heard.
And I think casual workers love being part of the University of Toronto community. They care so much about it, and they want to be in a stable, secure, and well-paid position that's commensurate with the important work that they're doing. They want to continue working here. They want to have the security that they can stay here and be a part of this community.
I think that the University of Toronto is a great employer. I think that there are issues when it comes to how casual employees are treated. And when I do get a permanent position at the University of Toronto, I hope that I will be able to speak up on behalf of casual employees and the rights that they have.
A montage of interviewees.
Illness has no boundaries. All workers need pay. Sick leave. Working sick is not okay. We all have bills to pay. Health and safety is priority. Our concerns protect community. Don't punish us. Don't turn us away. You can't change what you don't know. I learned that long ago. The time is now to make things right. We all have bills to pay. You can't change what you don't know. You can't change what you don't know. So we're telling you now, and now you'll know.
Bills to Pay. Music and lyrics by Heather Cheron. Quote, "No worker is inherently vulnerable. Workers are made vulnerable by laws that facilitate relationships of inequality and laws that fail to address exploitation." End quote. Faye Faraday. For more information, visit usw.1998.ca/casual unit. Brought to you by United Steelworkers Local 1998. Logo: capital letter U, S, and W side by side and stylized. The letters U and W are blue and the S is white, and together are outlined with a thin yellow line. The letter S is comprised of two stylized hands, fingers cupped, reaching towards each other and almost touching, to form the shape of the letter S.